YouTube, what's up? Thank you for tuning in to another episode on my channel, Westside to Worldwide. Today we are going to talk about if you should live abroad. So many times when I post on my Instagram or even I read articles and talk to people, a lot of their goals in life, or one of their goals in life, is to live abroad. And I think that's amazing. Personally, I lived abroad in China for 2 years, and I actually live abroad now in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. So I do have some experience in living abroad. So without further ado, let's get into it. 5 things to consider when you are deciding if you want to move abroad or not. The first thing you should consider is, are you comfortable living alone? Even though I've gotten a ton of lifelong friends from living abroad, and I've had great communities wherever I've lived at, most of the time I am alone because that's social time. And most of my time was still filled up with work, commuting to work, just trying to navigate being abroad. While it's not a bad thing, you have to be very comfortable to be by yourself. Even where you live at, you may be the only person that is a foreigner in that building. Where I lived at in China was a small apartment of about 30 people, and I was the only person that was not Chinese there. And I did not know Chinese. So instantly, I was already separated from that group. And even if I did know Chinese, because I'm a foreigner, I would not get accepted into that group as easily. So that is not a problem for me because I am comfortable being alone, but that is something that you should consider as you make your journey abroad. The second thing you should consider is are you willing to miss important events? Guys, I've missed birthdays, I've missed graduations, I've missed funerals, I've missed anniversaries. I graduated college about 3 years ago, and I haven't been to a homecoming since. I've missed a lot of important events, and I've traded it in for these lifelong experiences traveling abroad. Now, while I have no regrets in my decisions, it is something to consider. Another thing about missing these important events is explaining to your family and to your loved ones that maybe right now you don't have the means to go home, or that your job may not be allowing you to go home with such a short notice. And those are things that have to be really communicated clearly, because you don't want your loved ones or your family or your friends to feel offended because you can't come back for a special day that they have, or a special day that someone they love is having. The third thing you should consider is, are you adaptable? Life abroad changes quite often, and things can happen at any time. So you can't lose your cool if things don't go as planned, or if you have a sudden change of plans. For example, there have been many times where I've traveled and I thought I was going to an Airbnb that was rated 5 stars, but in reality was rated 2 stars. So maybe I get there that night and I have to leave my Airbnb even though I had already pre-planned in advance for that trip. I can't lose my mind or get angry or get frustrated. I have to be adaptable and I have to be calm. The fourth thing that you should consider when moving abroad is, can you deal with ignorance or racism? Now, this is a sensitive subject, but it's definitely something that needs to be talked about. The truth is that there's almost a certainty that you will deal with some form of ignorance or racism when you are abroad. Now, I think the main thing is differentiating the ignorance from the racism. There were times in China where I would apply to a job that I am either qualified for or overqualified for, and I would be told directly, Wesley, you are an African American male. We do not hire African American males for this position. But the thing is, that's legal in China. So I can't go back and be angry and be mad. That's something that I have to deal with and understand as part of being abroad. An example of ignorance could even be somebody seeing me walking down the street and assuming that I like basketball, or that I like rap music, or that I want to do some type of drugs, because that's what they've seen in the culture that's been promoted for people that look like myself. So those are just 2 examples. And personally, I've been guilty of doing that to other people as well. When I lived in China, I had a few good friends that were Russians, and it always amazed me how different they were from what's advertised in America as how Russians really are. They were great people. There was no racism at all. There was no ignorance at all. We had great conversations. But I was so nervous to talk to them because of the media and what had been fed to me about people that came from Russia. As a whole, you need to be able to understand that people are coming from close areas of the world. And sometimes, whether you're Black, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Russian, whether you're Indian, you may be the first person that they've seen that's not their race or that's not a white person. So that's something that you have to understand and generally be okay with, because you can't react in a negative way or especially in a violent way, because you don't want to end up in a jail or in someone's criminal system in another country. The fifth and the final thing you should consider when moving abroad is, are you actually willing to try these other cultures' way of life? I see so many people move abroad and they'll still only eat hamburgers and pizza instead of maybe trying a new culture's food and seeing if you would even like it more. By doing this, in truth, while you are in the culture, you are not experiencing the culture. So I think, in my humble opinion, that you don't get enough out of the experience and you don't get anything to genuinely take back with you. Food is just one example. But the truth is, if you were going to eat that, you could have just stayed in your home country, because every country, no matter where you go, is going to have hamburgers and pizza. Another thing is, are you willing to try new activities? Personally, I can't dance that well, but I generally always try to take a dance class. But the bottom line is that if you aren't willing to try new things, you won't have a good time. Because the point of traveling abroad is to see something different than what you already know. So if you're not willing to try things that are different than what you already know, you're putting yourself in a position to be isolated consistently, and you won't be happy in that situation. All right, guys, thank you all for tuning in to another video. I appreciate the support so much. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and if you have any questions, comment below. I'd love to talk to you all. If you have any subject ideas that you want to hear about, I'd love to talk to you all about that too. All right, until next time, peace.